Hello, my name is Lorraine Appleyard, and I am a psychic and a spiritual medium. And today I wanted to be talking to you a little bit about what is a mystic, what is mysticism, and what is a spiritual seeker. So let's get into that right now, okay? So a mystic is someone that follows a path of their own throughout their life that focuses on the mystical. And mysticism is about one's own experiences with having a relationship with God or Source or the Great Creator. This experience may also be, we may connect it to Mother Earth or to the universe. So that is a mystical experience. And mysticism is about having a greater understanding or seeking to have that experience that directly brings us into that which we would understand to be God. A mystic is one that doesn't follow any particular religious upbringing or direction. And they're following their own path. So they're independent of any type of traditional religious structure. The actual definition of a mystic is one who has had the experience of union with God or Source. So having that experience of union, having that experience of being connected with all, that is a mystical experience. And it's an experience that leaves you, where you leave yourself for a moment, where you're leaving yourself and you are in that moment, are unaware of that illusion of the separate self or the separate identity or personality of the self, and having that sense of being interconnected with all that is. That is a mystical experience. Oftentimes a mystic may have some rituals or may achieve some type of powerful divination or some divine revelations, and they bring this through, like Nostradamus was a mystic. And that's just an example of how a mystic may work. The revelations that a mystic may bring through are revelations that would help to provide enlightenment to the world with these revelations. And some examples of some well-known mystics are Sri Aurobindo, Buddha, Lao Tzu, and of course there's Christ. So that is just a short list of those that have brought enlightenment to the world by way of their revelations. Now, some mystical experiences may be brought on with a type of spiritual ecstasy, like the Gnostic Christians may have, and they may bring themselves into this altered state by a type of ritual. Singing, chanting may lead to these altered or expanded states where they may receive revelations or these prophecies. So that is one way of achieving a mystical state, but it also may not have anything to do with that. It may just happen very spontaneously without any of those endeavors to be able to bring around that state. So it may happen very spontaneously, this mystical state where suddenly you feel connected with all that is. So a mystic is one that is on the path, the mystical path of seeking that union with God or Source, seeking to experience that union with God and to be able to have that sense of oneness. And with that, there is this achievement of having a greater understanding or a greater knowing. So mysticism is that state of achieving that sense of oneness with the divine that is often brought about by spiritual ecstasy or by some type of ritual, oftentimes. But it may also be used to refer to any type of experience where one has had that expanded state or altered sense of consciousness, and it may even involve a trance-like state with that spiritual ecstasy. So some of you listening may consider yourselves to be mystics, and this is, again, it's one that is seeking understanding and connection with God or Source through their own understanding, through their own individual understanding. So what is a seeker? And we may use the word a spiritual seeker just to be able to bring a better descriptive term to this, because a seeker is someone who sets out on a spiritual path, seeking to have a greater understanding of their true self and a greater understanding of the experience of their self in this world. So a spiritual seeker is one who is setting out on a path of self-discovery, and this may have been a lifelong path, or it may have been initiated through trial or tribulation, through some experience where there was a trauma or a life-altering event, and this resulted in this spiritual seeking. So with the seeker, there is this call for an understanding of the self, a spiritual call to have an understanding for self-knowledge. And it has been likened to the hero's journey. A spiritual seeker is looking for their own spiritual truths and is more on a spiritual path, or the path of spirituality, and is less connected also to the religious dogma or religious purveying of truth. So a seeker may have more flexibility in the way that they view spiritual things, in the way that they view truth, and as opposed to those that have more of a traditional religious affiliation, where they tend to have outlooks that are a little bit more structured and a little less flexible. As we are seeking, as we're on this spiritual path of seeking, our soul expands. And there is this desire for spiritual growth. And so it really is this inward drive. It's an internal journey that a spiritual seeker is having. And some of the qualities that a spiritual seeker may be looking to grow, looking to cultivate, are the qualities of love. And by this I mean a spiritual love, a love for one another, a deep love and sense of compassion for their fellow man, and seeing people as spiritual beings. There is, as spiritual seekers, there's more of this introversion that occurs as they are seeking to have a better understanding of themselves and a better connection with their inner self. And through this connection, there is a greater sense of knowing, of just knowing. And this comes from knowing the soul, from knowing one's own soul. And so there is this spiritual knowing that comes as a result. And this is from the seeking that one is doing to, and as a result, the soul is expanding and the consciousness is expanding also. A spiritual seeker will be looking to use less of their 5 physical senses, including their rational or logical mind, and they'll be looking to have an understanding from their inner senses. And as the great mystic Rumi once said, what you are seeking is also seeking you. And so know that to be a spiritual seeker or to be a mystic, these may be independent of someone that may call themselves a psychic or a medium, and not necessarily are they all inclusive. One may be a psychic and not necessarily a spiritual seeker or a mystic, and one may be a medium also without developing those spiritual qualities. And so you may identify yourself as either a mystic or a spiritual seeker, and if you do, know that you are not alone, because I feel that in today's day and age that the spirituality is growing, and that more and more are seeking to have their own personal experience with God and to have their own deeper understanding of themselves and understanding of that hero's journey that we all must take. So I hope this has answered some of your questions that you may have been having regarding what is a mystic and what is a seeker. And I thank you very much for listening to me today. Once again, my name is Lorraine Appleyard, and if you haven't already, please do hit the subscribe button. And I'm looking to put out more videos each week, not just on mediumship and psychic development, but on development of our spiritual lives. And I feel that this is also very important with our mediumship development. So please hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and look for more material that I'm working to put out. And I thank you very much again for listening. I wish you very many blessings, and may you walk with spirit. Bye for now.